listening to the Heads Up Radio Network. The Ref, Carmine Conti.
And welcome to another wonderful Wednesday, hump day to many, just Wednesday to some, like myself. But a beautiful Wednesday. I hope it is where you are as well. And welcome to another exciting show of The Ref. I am Carmine Conti, deem that the Ref. And we'll be here today to talk about entertainment and my calls or non-calls about entertainment. We do have an exciting phone-in guest today. We had planned, I think I talked about this week 1, 2, 3 or something like that. I was going to do a trilogy or a series of shows on female bass players and from different genres of music. So it wasn't going to be that way. It wouldn't be 3 jazz players trying to talk about interpretations of jazz. It would be what I picked was blues, jazz, and I kind of picked a rock fusion player as well. But not to belabor the point, today's guest is our blues bass player of the feminine variety, and that would be Miss Polly Okeary. And Polly has quite a history, quite a reputation, and is quite a bass player. And that will be our hot topic of the day today. So we're going to call Polly here in a little bit, get her online, and we're going to talk about, not only talk about her past, present, future, we're also going to talk about what motivated her, what got her into doing something you don't run across. In my experience, anyway, in the industry, is that you don't run across a lot of female bass players, period, and very few in the blues genre. And so I think it'll be kind of exciting to hear how she got into it. And we'll explore that with Polly today. And we're also going to get a chance to listen to some of Polly's music as well. And we'll kind of feature that mainly towards her new album, Compass, which she just released here, and her group, The Rhythm Method. And so we're going to talk to Polly today in a little bit. And as usual, we usually kind of go through our peripherals of the who, what, whys, and hows to tune in to Heads Up Radio. And we appreciate you tuning in today all over the world. And what we're doing here at Heads Up Radio, what we feature here, and basically how to get a hold of us. That's more importantly, and how to listen to us. Obviously, if you are listening to us right now, you kind of got that figured out. If you wanted to contact us or call in or email in or something like that, let me give you the 3 ways to do that. You can, of course, the first way is go to our website, the www.headsupradio.com, which will take you right to our website. Second of all, if you want to email about any suggestions for shows or hot topics, please feel free to do so at carmine@headsupradio.com. All one word, headsupradio.com. Carmine at that email address. And last but not least, of course, today will be kind of difficult. We will be on the line with Polly today. But if you do want to call in on some of the open forums that we do have, we will, especially when we have an in-house guest, we want you to call in as well, and that's 208 area code 758-0546. So that's 758-0546 in the lovely state of Idaho, which is all one area code of 208. So those are the 3 ways to either look, touch, feel, and get involved with us right here at headsupradio.com. Also, being a new radio station, we're always looking for advertisers and sponsorships. So if you're getting involved with this, you like what we're doing here at Heads Up Radio, feel free to contact us at the same number I provided you earlier, the 758 number, and talk to our staff here in regards to sponsorships or advertisements. You'll hear advertisements throughout the show today. a couple times at least. And as a full production studio here, we're more than happy to produce a spot. We'll write it, or with your help, we'll hit the hot spots that you want to do, apply the music to it, and bada bing, bada boom, as we would say, you're on air and advertising. And so the rates are great, as the news stations should be. We're not looking to kill the market yet. Give us some time, though. Then you'll never be able to ever. But that's what we're looking for here at Heads Up Radio, and get you involved, get you however that is, through advertising or sponsorship, or, just as a listener. We want you to reach out to your friends. It's very easy. You can download this to PC, tablet, iPad, or a smartphone, and that'll get you at least involved as far as listening to some of the topics that I discuss here, or features that I might have. Or also, we have a show that comes on at noon, and that's the Mary Souza Show. And Mary is running for the state senator, and Mary's very good about talking about the politics. And I think for a lot of people out there, and we're considered a small city, small town, however you want to phrase it, and small-town politics actually turn into big-town politics. And a lot of the same relevant issues that are happening in the lovely Lake City of Coeur d'Alene are happening on the worldwide stage of Washington, D.C. as well. And we all know how well their politics are. And that's about it for me in politics, okay? So I stick with the politics of dancing. I think that was a song. My producer will know that. Maybe he can dial that up somewhere if Tripp's in there. The politics of dancing, Trip. So let's see. That pretty much covers most of all the information aspect of the show. And what I usually do in the first part of the show is I kind of hit some of the little topics going on around the world or locally. And we're busting into the summer season of festivals here coming up, and right away, the one that I'll bang out there right away for you if you're a blues fan, Sunbanks Festival this weekend at the Cooley Dam area out there, which is a wonderful setting, great festival. It's been picked as the #1 festival, I guess, for about the last 5 years or something like that. But check it out. It's just fun to go to that festival, and a great lineup. And check it out online, sunbanksfestival.com, and check out the lineup and see what's going on. But I believe that is this weekend. Also, in the sports vein, NBA playoffs are cruising along. Stanley Cup playoffs, boo-hoo for Carmine. My Pittsburgh Penguins got eliminated last night, and bummer. That's all I got to say. So I'm going to cry me 1,000 tears. But they're cruising along nice. We still got pretty much the favorites in both divisions, except for my Penguins. And also, in the basketball side of it, looks like that the NBA is doing its marvelous job as promoting that. I'm going to stay away from all the scuttlebutt about the NBA and keep the focus on the playoffs, and not over the sideshow, the circus sideshow. If you've ever been to a circus, they always have the sideshows there. And this Donald Sterling thing is a sideshow to me. The focus should be on the fun of the basketball game and the competition, and we'll let this sort itself out. So I'm not going to, even though it's entertainment, I guess in some ways, I'm not going down this alley. I don't want to. It's a dirty street fight at best. And it's not worth our time here at headsupradio.com. Also, this weekend will be the second leg of the Triple Crown. So if you're a fan of horse racing, I highly suggest tuning in on Saturday to see if California Chrome can accomplish that. That would be, I'm not doing well with my favorites so far as the Penguins, and hopefully my San Antonio Spurs will get through there. But I am rooting for the California Chrome to at least get leg 2 of the Preakness. And so tune in on Saturday, TiVo it, record it, whatever you like. It should be a great race. It's always funny to me is like they start off with about 19 races, or horses, excuse me, for the Kentucky Derby. And by the time they get to the Belmont, there's like 5. or something. But I'm pulling for the California Chrome. I think this horse might have it. I think I've said that before a couple times, but I think this horse might do it. And first time in, gosh, I think it was affirmed. It was the last horse that won the Triple Crown. So, see, I'm pretty good at that. And let's see, on the sports market I covered and the entertainment market, the festival season coming around, I don't really have a lot. It's kind of this little lull, of course, with going through Mother's Day weekend and everything like that. Now we're really going to start kicking into the sports events and entertainment events. You're going to see a lot more venues that we have, even up here in the Pacific Northwest, are going to start opening up outside events now. So it's time to take off the parkas and put on the tank tops and get ready to go out to and see some of your favorite bands. So when we get back here, we're going to take a little station break here. I covered kind of the basic topics of the intro of us this morning, and I'm doing it rather quickly because I want to get to our interview with Polly Okeary today. We have a lot to cover, and so stick with us here, and we'll get Polly back when we get back online here, and we'll start talking about her career and stuff. You're listening to The Ref right here on the Heads Up Radio Network.
Date today. My kids are sick again, and I have a terrible headache, and medicine just doesn't seem to help.
Seems like you guys are always sick. Have you had your house tested for mold?
Come on, Jen, you know me. I keep my house spotless. There's no mold here.
That's what I thought about our house. We had the same problems last year and called mountain mold testing. They came right out and inspected our whole house for mold.
Really? What happened?
Well, mountain mold testing took air samples, and the lab test showed that we were breathing dangerous, invisible mold. We got the mold cleaned up, and now we don't have any more wheezing, headaches, or congestion. They gave us our health back.
Mold can cause numerous health problems, including allergies, chronic headaches, asthma, and lung infections. Children, pregnant women, and the elderly are especially susceptible. Call Mountain Mold Testing at 208-660-8877. That's 208-660-8877. Online at mountainmoldtesting.com.
Hi, this is Mary Souza. For the last 5 years, I've represented your views in my weekly newsletter on government issues. Now I'm running for the Idaho Senate to represent you in Boise. I believe that Idaho must stand strong for freedom and against the overreach of the federal government into our individual and states' rights. We have seen this invasion by Washington, D.C. through the state Obamacare exchange and the Common Core program in our schools. My opponent, Senator John Getty, was a major supporter of both of these measures. But with new leadership in Boise, we can return control over health care and education to the people of our state. I will work hard for positive changes to protect your rights and the rights of small businesses and jobs in Idaho. So please, if you want a strong voice of principle in Boise, elect me, Mary Souza, for Idaho State Senate District 4. I promise that I will keep standing for the values that made America and Idaho great.
Paid for by Mary Souza for Idaho. Looking for something different to do tonight? Thinking of a restaurant that you haven't been to for a while, or a place to take the kids out for a fun night? Ever find yourself in this situation? This is a question that prompted publisher Jeanette Dunn to create Idaho Cuisine and Spokane Sizzle dining and entertainment guides. And it just keeps getting better with their pocket guides, online editions, and now online local restaurant finder at sizzleandcuisine.com. Also find local wineries, breweries, distilleries, great recipes from local chefs, hot spots and cool happenings, and chances to vote for your favorites. Be in the know about local happenings when you sign up for the Sizzlin' Cuisine e-News, delivered to your desktop weekly, and be eligible to win a free dinner for two. You've always enjoyed reading the magazines. Now it's easy to flip through them online too. Makes it easy to find restaurants that offer great menus prepared by experienced staffs who really care to serve you the best in local cuisine. Spokane Sizzle and Idaho Cuisine are online at sizzleandcuisine.com. We do the footwork to make it easy for you to find just what you're looking for. Carmine Conti. Conti, the Ref, here on the Heads Up Radio Network.
And welcome back to Heads Up Radio and to today's show, The Ref. I'm Carmine Conti, and today we are featuring Polly Okeary. And I believe we have Polly on the line now, and we're just going to jump right into this today. And I'll give you a little preempt, is that we're going to chat to her about Polly's life and career and future and present, past, future, everything. And so let's get right to it today. Polly, are you out there?
I am indeed. Hello.
Good afternoon to you. I can say that we're on Pacific Coast time. And for those of you on East Coast time, it's good evening to you. And I don't even know what's going on in Tokyo, so we won't worry about that. Polly, welcome to our show today. And I've been trying to get you online here and get you tied into this for a few weeks now. And just to give you an idea of what we were doing or what my plan was, and I said this a few weeks ago, is I'm doing like a trilogy on bass players and female bass players. And I just
fantastic.
think you deserve some recognition. And there's
Bless your heart. This is a great bass. I'm sure you have Lisa Mann in there.
Let me tell you, I could go into a story about Lisa Mann, and I know my producer in the other room and I both had an experience with that. We knew Lisa down in Los Angeles. She was recording at a studio down there that was owned by a friend of ours, and that's where I first met her. But I was trying to keep it separate in genre. So I wanted to use a blues, a jazz, and a fusion or rock.
Oh, I see.
And so not only did you win because you're female, you also won because you're really good. So
Bless your heart. Well, this is brightening my entire afternoon.
Well, and how is it over there in SeaTac City?
You know, today is very bright and sunny, and we're having record high temperatures. It's supposed to go into the 80s this afternoon. Might already be there. I don't know.
You broke out the tank top, I'd hope. So get some sun.
Well, I'm in an air-conditioned office, but I'm looking wistfully out the window and thinking of tank tops for when I get home.
Good girl. Good girl. Well, listen, I'm going to kind of jump into this right away today, and how I want to conduct the format is I want to kind of bring it back to where you started. You know, I've read some of the bio things and stuff like that, and I'm just going to kind of pick out highlight points. But most of all, I want to get some of your music played on air today. So when we take a little break, I say we're going to play a song, feature a song now. I guess you talked to my producer, and he already said you trust my taste. First of all, I can't believe you trust me. No, but I appreciate that. But we're going to go ahead, and I wanted to pick some stuff out, and I think you and I had talked a little bit about this when we were kind of doing the pre-production of the show about certain songs, and I want to feature some songs that maybe aren't getting necessarily a lot of airplay, but get some of your stuff out there for everybody to listen. And I know I'm being monitored by a few of your friends over in Seattle. They're going like, oh, really? So that's what you think. So let's start. We'll go with, what got you into music. As I look at your bio, the thing that stuck out to me is that you started playing music in bars in Mexico at 16.
Let me just preface this next clip with the caveat that I have a checkered past. I was a nightmare of an adolescent. I was a terrible adolescent. I was an adolescent that your mom just desperately hopes that you don't turn out to be. I loved music all of my life, but my parents were deeply, deeply religious, and so like modern music was kind of forbidden in our household. But my parents were migrant workers, and in the orchard one day, in an apple orchard in eastern Washington, we found on the ground a cassette tape of Men at Work, Cargo, the album Cargo by Men at Work.
Sure.
And my brother and I would be home alone by ourselves, and we would sneak the tape in and listen to it when our folks were out working. And it was like our big rebellious thing that we did. And from there, we decided we could save up our lunch money and not eat lunch. I hope my mom is not listening. I don't even know if she knows this stuff yet. And not eat lunch and instead spend that money on music. So we had no access to any idea of what music was available, so we just went to the store, the grocery store that had a few things, and we bought tapes based on what they looked like. So that's how we got Van Halen's Diver Down, and we got the Eurythmics album Touch, and Rush's 2112, and the Police, Synchronicity.
All good albums.
And those albums.
All good albums.
They're all good albums, huh?
Yeah.
I'm surprised when I think back. I'm surprised there wasn't all country and western up in that store, but the Eurythmics in particular acted on me like a drug. I can't really explain it to this day, but it really would have like a high. I don't even know how to explain that.
Well, I could a little.
Say,
Annie Lennox has affected a lot of people that way.
Oh, my God. She's so amazing. I have the biggest girl crush on Annie Lennox. I can't tell you. But so I decided I wanted to be a musician. And then I just had this catastrophic 8th grade and dropped out in the 8th grade and sort of was just drifting around. And I met a guy twice my age who grew pot. And he had a good year, bless his heart, and decided that we should, on his ill-gotten gains, move, go live in Mexico for the winter.
Wow.
And he was an off and on again professional musician. He taught me the trade. And I sort of debuted my professional career in these little expat bars in Mexico.
Did you go by the name of? Did you go by the name of
that?
Polly? Did you use the name Polly Gringa at the time?
I think everyone else did.
It's a cute little Irish girl. I'm trying to imagine
I was
this.
such a hippie chick in those days. I wore dashikis. I'm not lying.
Oh.
So, and it was so hippie. Like it was hippie expat bars. It was a scene. And then when I came back, we decided to approach some local bars about me playing in them, even though I was hideously underage.
Mm-hmm.
But the long arm of the law didn't quite reach as far as the Okanagan County in those days.
I got
So
you.
I actually pulled it off for a couple of years until all of a sudden I achieved the age of 18. My younger brother, Willie, who plays around the Seattle area as well, did not get away with it, and he actually got arrested, and the bar that we were in got fined. But I got away with it until I was 18, and then it was legal as long as I didn't drink, or get off the stage, or I had to be in these designated areas. And so when I finally turned 21, I went on a long debauch, and I went to all of the bars where I had played while I was underage. I remember getting a shot at one of them, and the owner comes around and sees me and says, 21 now, huh? You don't have to drink behind the speakers anymore. I was like, oops. Thought I'd pulled that one off.
No,
But,
I'll still drink behind the
started.
speakers. Now, I got to say, I mean,
I'm just doing covers and stuff.
your brother got
Started off.
arrested for the same thing that you got away with, right?
He was 17 and I was 18, and I got away with it, and he didn't.
Can you imagine explaining that in the holding tank? Hey, man, what are you in here for?
Right, I know. Talk about the Group W bench. Littering.
Now, were you just singing then, or were you playing bass?
I was just singing. Unfortunately, this story continues to be sorted. So,
Sort it out, girl. Sort it out.
So, I continued on in that vein until I was 20 years old. And then my pot-growing boyfriend, who got himself busted.
Oh.
And so he wound up in, that great hotel in Walla Walla. And spent a year on the stage time there. When he got out, the band had disbanded.
Oh,
and
no.
the only person we weren't able to get back into the crew, and let me just say now that I've been playing solo for 10 years, lest it sound like I'm, totally pimping a terrible lifestyle. This is my wasted youth. But
all of ours was, Polly. All of ours were.
Okay. Oh, good. I'm in good company then.
Yes, you are.
So he got out, and the only band member we couldn't get back into the band was the bass player. And I just said, well, a 4-piece pays better than a 5-piece anyway. How hard could it be? So I went and bought a bass, and that very night I played it.
Oh, no.
On stage.
No way.
I had a little bit of background in playing guitar as a kid. I'd had guitar lessons as a kid, so I had some basic idea of what I was doing and how to, and the guys, and some basic idea of how to read music.
Right. How hard can it be? It's
and the guys just
two less
the guys
strings.
just put down the root notes, and I played the root notes. And let me tell you, my fingers felt like I'd pressed them to a hot stove by the end of the night, and my shoulder felt like it was dislocated. But I've been playing bass every night on stage since that night.
So that jumped you into it. Now, I noticed, the last time or some of the times that I've got to see you, of course, I believe, if I'm wrong, correct me, because I don't mind being that, is it looked like an Olympic bass. And have you been how long have you been playing that bass?
That's actually, you're very astute to believe that to be an Olympic.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Padula, and Michael Padula used to be a guitar maker at Alembic. And that's why Padula basses resemble Alembics so much, right down to the Bartolini soap bar pickups.
Right.
But so I ended up getting a divorce from my dear friend, who remains a dear friend to this day, the ex-pot grower. And
you guys got married?
We did.
In a fever?
That's the only way you can get visitation in prison. The story just gets worse. No, seriously. 10 years clean us over. Let me just say that again. But upon getting my own finances that were all entirely in my own name, I took my credit card and I went to Guitar Center and bought myself the very best. I played basses all over. I went to Bass Northwest. I went to any place that sold basses, found me in there sooner or later, trying out basses, because at that point I had just fallen desperately in love with blues music, and the gear that I had was more geared to rock. I was playing a heart key through a carven bass through a heart key, very bright sound, very rock and roll sound. Now I needed something smoother and mellower. I played that Padula, and I looked at the price tag, and it was going to be $4,000 with tax, and I just couldn't. I just could not. And so but I knew it the minute I had it in my hands. I knew it. I had never played anything.
It felt good.
So it did. The neck was perfect for me. The way that it's built, the neck, the ergonomic shape of the neck is incredible for a bass player with slightly smaller hands.
Mm-hmm.
Because the strings, it's actually got these huge wide spans, a 19-millimeter span like you would find on a jazz bass, but it's a 5-string. But in order to make up for that, the neck is very, very thin. It's a very thin profile. And so it actually makes the most playable bass you can possibly imagine. The electronics, very few 5-string basses actually deliver on the low end. But this does. It's clear, beautiful sound all the way across the spectrum. Everything about this bass was, even the wood.
Well, let me ask you, too,
exotic tops.
In regards to that, and of course you're adding a string now, and when you first started, you probably played a 4-string, and then obviously you got this bass, and now you got a 5-string. And I know bass players that say, like, boy, it's become a little bit more difficult now that I have another string. Was that a challenge for you as well, or?
It was another thing where I just jumped right in, just like playing bass. I went to a jam session. The only bass that was available there was a 5-string. I said to myself, how hard could it be? I grabbed it up and just stuck my thumb on the bottom string as I would a pickup, for a thumb rest, and muddled through. And it wasn't that terribly difficult. And I said to myself, well, and in those days I was very competitive.
And you haven't lost that, have you?
Not as much. But To really kind of digress, I came up in a time where women weren't thought to be likely to be very competent bass players or musicians of any stripe, frankly,
right,
unless it was keyboard or singing or acoustic guitar playing folk. And I always had something to prove. I really did. I had this huge chip on my shoulder every day of the year. And so I bought a 5-string basically out of sheer orneriness. But then that was at Carvin. That was prior to Padula.
Okay.
But after I'd been playing it for a while, I realized that a 5-string is a better option for a bass player with smaller hands, as counterintuitive as that may be, because it gives me root notes that are closer to my body on smaller frets that don't require as long of a reach to get to them, especially if you like the sound of a long-scale bass. And so now I actually get a little embarrassingly confused on a 4-string because I have to start doing kind of the math of factoring in open strings. I have to and what to do in the key of D when you've only got that one pivotal D in the middle of the neck instead of that low D,
right?
To work around. You don't use the open B very frequently. It's the fact that you've got root notes up to G and A that are useful, that are all the way up the neck on the 5th string, that makes walking bass, gives you so many more options.
Well, and
it reduces fatigue.
And
if you've got the right
exactly. I'm gonna tie a segue in here. Don't laugh at me, okay? is because
Okay.
we're going to play one of your songs right now, and here's what I picked. As I was going to say in regards to the 5-string, we're going to say Harder Than It Has to Be.
Aha.
One more week until your new place is ready. One more week until I'm free. Don't make this harder than it has to be. The last 5 years, you've been so mean and nasty. The last 5 days, you've been sweet as pie to me. Don't make this harder than it has to be. Go on and stomp and shout and throw your things the way you always do. Go on and stomp and shout and call me names the way you like to do. And when the week is over, I'll be glad to see the last of you. Go on and stomp and shout and call me names the way you always do. Go on and stomp and shout and throw your things the way you like to do. And when the week is over, I'll be glad to see the last of you. The man that I remember is a lot like you've been lately. But I would just as soon that man remained a memory. Don't make this harder than it has to be. And if you are trying to make me sorry, baby, 5 good days just can't erase 5 years of misery. Don't make this harder than it has to be. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it to me, baby. Oh, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it to me, baby. Don't make this harder than it has to be.
That's great. That's Harder Than It Has to Be. That's Polly Okeary's new album called Compass. I'll let her shamelessly plug that here at the end of the show as well. And Polly, one of the reasons I like that too is I love that line, that walking line down there at the bottom. And you were just talking about that with your 5-string.
Well, that walk down part.
Yeah, exactly. And I always like that, and I know the guys in the band as well. The guitar player Slim. I love that. There's a couple little chords that he plays there right at the end of the turnaround. It seems like every time it's got da-doo. I love those things. Yep, yeah.
I got that idea from listening to Sean Costello. He and some other players that are really big will take pretty standard 12-bar format, but they'll offer something new.
Mm-hmm.
They may do an interesting turnaround, or they may do a signature line. You also think of like a song like "Messing with the Kid," da 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 da.
Right.
So it's a standard 12-bar, but there's a signature phrase or line in it that makes it stand out. I've always admired that kind of songwriting, and so I wrote almost all of these. Well, I wrote all but one of these songs on bass guitar.
Really?
Yeah. So those are the kind of things that a bass player can come up with. It's like I can't come up with a suspended 9
right
that I think somebody should play, but I can say, hey, can we do this? Little lick or
what's really cool about that too, and maybe I'm wrong in this or I'm close, is that I know for me, I'll hear certain things that I hear in songs, fills for me, of course, as a drummer, but I'll hear certain fills or certain piano fills too, as I was listening to that too, is that I'll hear those and I'll go like, man, where can I put that? Well, and then it's like you just said, oh, well, I'll just write a song with it. So that makes it a lot easier.
Right. There's a song on my album that I listened to, a Mem Shannon song, and I was like, that is the coolest slinky groove I've ever heard in my life. I would like to do something just like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stewed on it, and I kept playing it until I had forgotten how it went. Then what I had was original.
How neat.
I've done that more than once.
I used to do that with girlfriends.
Oh, I'm going to write a song about you.
Well, we've covered some of this stuff here. I wanted to talk a little bit about then, of course, to progress on, and why we're featuring some of the songs off your new album today, is I wanted to progress on a little bit. Excuse me on that one. As a little cough, I got excited. Is that you then got, as you sort of progressed into the Seattle market, and looking at your bio as well, and thinking about some of that as well, I see that you're nominated and you won awards for female vocalists, as she did in 2004. So some of our listeners out there who don't know you can feast on this a little bit. I also then wanted to go, where did you go then? What kind of got you motivated into doing some touring and things like that? Or what was the band that you first started doing some touring with?
The band that I started touring with was Too Slim and the Tail Draggers.
That had to come up, didn't it?
That was a long time after I started doing blues. I didn't really have a direction musically, and it was something I was very insecure about because I had loved music for so long, but I didn't know what kind of music I should be playing. And unfortunately, one of the things about playing music professionally is it kind of demystifies music, so I had kind of fallen out of love with some of the more simple music that I had been enamored of in my youth, like Rat. Yeah. So, I didn't know what to love. I didn't know what to love, and I didn't know what to write. And everybody else around me was writing music full bore, and I always wondered maybe it's true that men are better songwriters than me. Just intrinsically, maybe they're right, which made me really mad and put that chip back on my shoulder. But then I got free tickets to see Jeff Healey in a bar one night, and you never know what's going to change your life. It can be such a simple thing.
Mm-hmm. And Jeff Healey was it, then, I would take it.
I saw Jeff Healey I was 28 years old, and I got free tickets to see him, and when I saw that rhythm section working together, he just had a trio, and when I saw that rhythm section working together, I saw that bass player and that drummer and what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had an aha moment like it in my life.
I
lost 15 pounds after that. I did. I got obsessed, and
would that be considered the blues diet then from there?
I had listened to all the albums that a rock musician might listen to. I had Johnny Winter, right, and I had Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I listened to everything I had in my house. I had Johnny Lang, Lie to Me, and I learned every bass line on those albums. And then I don't know where I got the brass to do this, but I marched down to a blues jam in Bellingham because that's where I was living at the time, and I said, and I started playing there with musicians who'd been playing blues for years, and they were tolerant of me, and I blessed their hearts for that because, I was coming into it with a rock sensibility, and that's not always adored at jam sessions.
Sure.
But then I went, and I don't know where I got the moxie to do this. I marched down to the worst bar in Bellingham, really a Skid Row dive. And I said, you should let me run a jam session here. And they said, okay, we're not going to pay you anything hardly. I said, that sounds just fine. So I started doing this, and blues musicians started showing up, and that's how I met Colonel and Double Shot. And he hired me to play bass, and probably thinking that a female bass player would be box office, and he wasn't the last guy to make that decision. And he really knew blues. He really did. I learned a lot.
And that was leading then, of course, towards your next albums or your first two releases on your.
So the way that went, boy, let me tell you, if your band is going to break up, it's going to break up while you're in the studio. That's just the law of the universe. So we went into the studio to do an album, and as has happened like twice since, the band fell apart. The relationship fell apart because at that point we were living together. I never did see a guitar player could resist. While I was still drinking, that has changed. Now it's drummers. So we split the tracks, and I took my tracks and he took his tracks, and we each built those tracks into individual albums. Of course, came in and had all the guitar parts re-recorded, and that was with C.D. Woodbury. I brought in C.D. Woodbury. Now C.D. Woodbury is just having a dazzling career, and he's just doing really great things. But we made that album. That album, then, that was the year I was given the first time I was given Female Vocalist of the Year, which stunned me because I hadn't really done anything in Seattle. I'd only been up in Bellingham. But I moved to Seattle because that's where the work was, and then after that, I put together my own band. That was the year I got sober.
Well,
that was big, actually.
Let's hold that there because that's a good spot now. When you move to Seattle, we're going to take a short break and sell some chicken or something. And then when we get back,
I'm going to call you back on my landline because somebody is blowing up my cell phone right now. I don't know what's going on.
While we're at break,
I'm going to call you back on my...
Yeah, go ahead. You do that while we're at break.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, dear. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Screaming and shouting, and she's always brewing up tea.
Sorry, Jen, I can't make it to our coffee date today. My kids are sick again, and I have a terrible headache, and medicine just doesn't seem to help.
Seems like you guys are always sick. Have you had your house tested for mold?
Come on, Jen, you know me. I keep my house spotless. There's no mold here.
That's what I thought about our house. We had the same problems last year and called mountain mold testing. They came right out and inspected our whole house for mold.
Really? What happened?
Well, mountain mold testing took air samples, and the lab test showed that we were breathing dangerous, invisible mold. We got the mold cleaned up, and now we don't have any more wheezing, headaches, or congestion. They gave us our health back.
Mold can cause numerous health problems, including allergies, chronic headaches, asthma, and lung infections. Children, pregnant women, and the elderly are especially susceptible. Call Mountain Mold Testing at 208-660-8877. That's 208-660-8877. Online at mountainmoldtesting.com.
Looking for something different to do tonight? Thinking of a restaurant that you haven't been to for a while or a place to take the kids out for a fun night? Ever find yourself in this situation? This is a question that prompted publisher Jeanette Dunn to create Idaho Cuisine and Spokane Sizzle dining and entertainment guides. And it just keeps getting better with their pocket guides, online editions, and now online local restaurant finder at sizzlingcuisine.com. Also find local wineries, breweries, distilleries, great recipes from local chefs, hot spots and cool happenings, and chances to vote for your favorites. Be in the know about local happenings when you sign up for the Sizzling Cuisine e-News, delivered to your desktop weekly, and be eligible to win a free dinner for two. You've always enjoyed reading the magazines. Now it's easy to flip through them online too. Makes it easy to find restaurants that offer great menus prepared by experienced staff who really care to serve you the best in local cuisine. Spokane Sizzle and Idaho Cuisine are online at sizzleincuisine.com. We do the footwork to make it easy for you to find just what you're looking for. Carmine Conti, the Ref, here on the Heads Up Radio Network.
And welcome back to the Ref, right here on the Heads Up Radio Network. Today's guest is Polly Okeary, and Polly and I have been chatting a little bit, and we're talking about her career in the Seattle market and basically just her musical career. And we've kind of moved up to the movement into the Seattle market, where I think you find yourself now home, if Polly's out there with me, and what you've progressed into the Seattle market. And, of course, then I had asked her where she started to do in her touring. And, of course, she was out on the road with Too Slim and the Tail Draggers. For those of you in the Pacific Northwest or even here in the Inland Empire, over here, we're all familiar with Too Slim and kind of where he started. And then, of course, Polly, your days with Too Slim. And then, of course, we moved into your recordings. And just to kind of move things along so we keep the flow going, I'm going to pick up where you were kind of left off into the Seattle market. You were talking about your first release, and if you want to go ahead and pick up from there, we'll go from there and stuff like that.
Sure. So that was that album was called Gather Round, and that was the first album that I had done any significant amount of songwriting on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was chuffed to discover that I actually can do it. And I look back and I see some of the stuff that I wrote, and I'm kind of surprised. Sometimes I go, "Oh my God, I was smarter back then." I've lost it. But I came up with some interesting things, and I also developed a relationship with a producer who did that album, who remains. Since then, I've been in that studio. I don't know how many times. I keep dragging my friends in there because it's just such a great studio. And so,
is this the same studio that you just?
After that, I got a second album out.
I was interrupting you there for a second. I was going to say, is this the same studio you did your current album in as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. It's also where Too Slim did Shiver.
Okay.
It's where Randy Oxford did It Feels Good.
So there has been some great albums coming out of their side. Good girl.
Yeah, some good stuff's come out of that studio. I love that studio. But so I actually, that album was profitable, partly because that studio, the guy is just such an efficient engineer that, we got the studio out quick, the album out, affordably, and so that was my first experience with self-releasing an album, and I made a profit on it, and I thought, well, that's good to know, that it can be done, because there's this idea that it's really...
Well, it sure does.
I mean, I certainly didn't get wealthy, but I broke even and paid some rent,
Yeah.
So, hey.
It sure does encourage you, doesn't
wish
it?
I'd have saved that.
Yeah. But it encourages you to move forward as some, I mean, a lot of it, too, is the infamous sophomore jinx. And then doing your second album and third album from there. I mean, a lot of acts that sign with major labels, the killer is the sophomore jinx. But it sounds like you then progressed.
So the sophomore album, again, I had a band breakup in the studio. Yeah, that's real. The sophomore album, we did at another studio, which is a great studio, but that album became extremely expensive because CD left that project before we were finished with it. There was some interpersonal tension in the band between various players who were
not that.
They were friends, but you know how it goes.
Right.
And so once again, I was recutting an entire album's worth of guitar tracks with a new player, and the album just ran into extra innings, and it cost so much money, and I never made my money back on that because by then I was so disheartened. You know how much energy it takes to front a band. I mean, it's not just standing there being responsible for everything that happens with the band. It's making all those booking phone calls, which frankly I'd rather drink paint. But it takes so much belief in your project and so much love for your players to well, maybe not other people, but for me, to motivate myself to undertake that really distasteful task. And so I ran out. I was not in love with my project anymore, and I was just disheartened. And the opportunity came right then to join Too Slim and the Tail Draggers. That album won Album of the Year, the WBS. But by the time it came time to pick up that plaque, I was already on tour. I couldn't pick it up because I was on tour with Too Slim.
Right.
And And then I was just playing bass for the next 4 years, and it was great.
Well, and I had heard too, and maybe you can correct me on this or correct me if I'm wrong, but and then you had some vocal problems or some physical problems with your voice as well?
I did.
All right. And so maybe...
I had vocal nodules for years.
I've known a few in the business that have experienced that. What a bummer.
Yeah. Yeah,
But-
it really is.
So when you got back...
Even though I had quit smoking and drinking
by the time you did?
Oh, my goodness, my voice now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More powerful?
4 years of touring with Too Slim gave... Oh, my God. I feel like I'm 20, but this time I don't smoke.
Right. Wow. Well, listen, we're going to... And so you won't hopefully ever lose that voice again. We're going to play a track here from your new album, Compass, called Losing You Again.
Each morning and lose you again. When my hand falls on the empty side of the bed, and it all comes back that the life we had is gone. I lose you again every day at dawn. A thousand times each day I lose you again. As I drive through the city and I pass places we've been, or someone does something to do, and I don't know how long I can go on losing you. Down each evening and lose you again. As the weight of forever closes in, and the worst nights are when I dream that you're here, and then morning comes and I begin losing
Very nice. If you were just listening or just tuned in, we were just listening to Losing You Again off Polly Okeary's new Compass album. And we have Polly with us in the studio today. And we're kind of running a little bit over here or close to it. Polly, you know, I'm going to let you shamelessly do a little plugging. I know that you're playing the Sunbanks Festival here with Randy, but I also know that you have a CD release party, so I'm going to let you kind of reach out to your public out there and let them know and kind of plug what you got going on here in the next month or so.
Oh, bless your heart.
Why not? Yeah.
Wednesday at the Triple Door. Wednesday night, starting at 7 o'clock. I happen to be in a number of bands. I'm very, very blessed. And one of them is the Randy Oxford Band.
Mm-hmm.
And Randy Oxford was in recording It Feels Good right when I was doing Compass, same studio. And so we released the albums at very nearly the same time. And so we're going to do some joint CD release parties. And I get to double dip because I'm in both bands. That is going to be a great show. The Triple Door, have you been there?
Oh,
it's
yes.
just the best.
Oh, it is. It is.
Fabulous stage, rock star experience. You know, it's vast black cavern of a stage, and the audience seating is plush, and there's wonderful food, and it's a great place to go see a show.
Very nice place, yes.
So
you'll love it.
I'm really kind of on my virtual knees begging everyone to go to that show because I'd like to play there again.
Yes. So that's on Wednesday.
Yeah, and then Sunbanks, yay, this weekend.
So Sunbanks this weekend, and am I wrong on the double CD release parties on Wednesday the 21st? Is that correct, May?
Wednesday the 21st, yes.
See, I do my homework. I know where you're at.
And then I'm back that following Saturday. I'm back in your neck of the woods playing the music at the View in Tonasket.
Oh, really? Okay, great. Are you guys coming over for
on the dry side? Woot!
Are you coming over for the Wallace Blues Festival as well this year?
I wish. I'm going to be in my closet eating a cheesecake in despair instead.
Well, you know what? I know you'll be back sooner or later with us again back here. And if not the Wallace,
I hope so.
Maybe, of course, the Coeur d'Alene Blues Festival, which is turning out to be it's really been cool. It's nice that we have something like that here because we've always wanted one, but we've never really had a music festival here. It's kind of a resort town, so everybody wears flip-flops and doesn't care about the blues or something.
I love Coeur d'Alene. I was just there.
It's a great place to live.
With Randy Oxford. I did a show there with Randy Oxford.
Right. It's a great place to live, don't get me wrong, but culturally, we need more. We always need more. And I think we need more of you, Polly.
I'm so happy to contribute. I don't know if I'm the culture anybody has in mind, but I'll be happy to contribute what I've got.
It is what it is. I mean, give it all you got, Polly. I mean, it's great having you on the show. Listen, I want to do a follow-up. We didn't get a chance to really get into a couple other things that I'd like to, and as long as you're still game for that, we'll give you a call here and maybe sometime this summer and try to follow up with a couple other things that you're doing that really intrigued me, and I think will intrigue the audience as well. You're very diverse, and like most musicians I know anyway, they have a lot going on. You just seem to like to work a lot harder than most I know.
Yeah.
But listen,
that's what happens when an alcoholic workaholic sobers up.
Hey, you know what? Congratulations on that. You know that? I mean, I think that's a huge accomplishment, and anybody out there that's going through that or has done that, I have nothing but praise for you in doing that. It takes a strong person to be able to get through that. And so congratulations, Polly.
And a lot of help.
And we're all...
Well, I look forward to talking to you again. I love listening to you. You sound like Benedict Cumberbatch without the accent. You have the best voice.
Well, thank you. That's how nice. You know, I never thought I would ever do this, but for some reason I always wanted to do this because I thought maybe a musician could maybe pull out a few things that maybe a host who wasn't a musician didn't know, or some of the trials and tribulations that we go through. And, I know.
Absolutely.
You guys just stay in the best
question.
one. Exactly. Well, listen, I'm going to have you back. Thank you so much for being part of the Heads Up Radio Network today. We're a fan of yours. I'm a fan of your music. I hope you enjoyed my picks. I love that last song. I just love that kind of sultry stuff with the brushes, and I love it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. And we look forward.
I love the tragedy of it, the abject misery.
It was tragic. Well, Polly, thank you very much.
What's wrong with me? I'm sitting here cackling.
I just think it's great. You've made my day.
Thanks.
You've made my day.
Sad.
And we'll call you. We'll get back together again this summer. Talk some more about Polly Okeary.
Let's do it.
All right. Thank you so much, dear.
Thanks.
And thanks for tuning in to the Heads Up Radio Network today. Today, our special guest was Polly Okeary, the bass player for the Rhythm Method, the name of her band. I didn't even get a chance to touch on that, but Polly, thank you very much. For those of you listening out there, any questions or any way you want to get a hold of Polly's new album, just contact us here at the Heads Up Radio Network at carmine@headsupradio.com. Once again, I'm the ref. My day's call today was great. I'm going to call it a touchdown. You're listening to the Heads Up Radio Network.
The views, opinions, and conclusions expressed in this broadcast are those of the host and their guests, and not necessarily those of Heads Up Radio. The host and guest are solely responsible for all content.